Well, the final match week before we head to decision day is now over, and the standings is now set heading into the most important match week of the season. And there's no doubt that after we saw some of these midweek games leading up to decision day, this could be one of the best, if not the best decision day I think we're going to have in a couple of years, because not only the fact that we are going to have playoff seedings that is up for grabs for both conference, but we also have both conferences where there's still a playoff spot that is definitely up for grabs. And it's not just like one playoff spot that's up for grabs. There's a situation in the West where there could be 3 playoff spots that could be up for grabs heading into the final day of the season. And speaking of the West, let's not forget that there is still that battle for the top spot in the Western Conference, and indeed, the best case scenario happens where we are indeed going to get a freeway battle for that top spot in the West. And let's also not forget in the Eastern Conference, where there are still teams that is below the red line that is still alive, including one team that have definitely gave their big chance to go above the red line heading into decision day. And then also talk about teams that's currently above the red line in the East that could be threatening to move down and miss out on the playoff on the final day. But that being said, let us actually begin talk about the first game. And that, of course, is Montreal versus the Houston Dynamo. So for Montreal, it was a must-win game for them. And they got exactly that by getting the 2-0 victory over the Houston Dynamo. And early on, you can definitely sense that they were showing some urgency that they need to win this game, because they were on the front foot early. Brogiats had a shot that was deflected wide before Torres tried to shoot from 25 yards out, but he puts that one wide. And then Junka cleared Mihajlovic shot off the line in the 28th minute. The shots was 10-1 in favor of Montreal, and at the half-hour mark, and like I said, Montreal was desperate to try to get that opening goal and trying to break through in this must-win game. Mihajlovic puts a 24-yard shot wide in the 31st minute before Torres puts it wide from close range. But then in the 36th minute, Lassiter had a chance for the Dynamo, but he hits one straight to Briza. And then Memo Rodriguez puts it wide in the near post in the 43rd minute. And despite the fact that the Dynamo was kind of under siege for the most part of the first half, it looked like they were getting back into this game and were looking to try to steal a goal before halftime. But that was not meant to be, as we had to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, I was expecting, well, yes, the Dynamo did kind of threaten late in the first half, but I thought Wilfried Nancy's team would respond the second half the manner that they did it for the majority of the first half, right? Well, not exactly, because in the 50th minute, Briza had to deny Lassiter from close range, and that I thought the Dynamo was starting the second half brightly, and in some way they kind of carried the momentum that they had in the latter part of the first half into the second half. Dorsey then hits it just wide from 12 yards out before Memo Rodriguez hits it wide from close range in the 52nd minute. But then in the 58th minute, despite the fact that Montreal did not start the second half brightly, they would get the crucial opening goal in their must-win game. And it's Camacho, the ones that scores to give Montreal a 1-0 lead, really completely against the run of play, because Houston was by far the better team heading into the second half. And then just 4 minutes later, they double their lead. And it's Kamal Miller, who I believe this is his first goal for Montreal this season. He scored for Mihajlovic there to give Montreal a 2-0 lead. Great ball that was for Mihajlovic. And then Kamal Miller, knowing the fact that he is a big, strong and tall defender, he makes no mistake there to hit that one in to give Montreal a crucial 2-0 lead. And really that kind of just changed the momentum back to Montreal, because Montreal was started to, well, the Dynamo kind of start the second half brightly, but those 2 goals really kind of kill their confidence. And really, as the time winds down, Montreal, they decided that, 2 goals is going to be enough. They're just going to sit in a low block and suffocate this Dynamo attack that we know throughout the season they have really struggled in terms of scoring goals. And now the fact that they have to break down a very organized Montreal defense, you just kind of sense that they have no chance in terms of coming back. And that, of course, indeed is the case, as in the end, Montreal, a huge 2-0 wins to keep their playoff hope alive. As the shots in this one, 16 shots for the 9 that Houston had, 6 shots on goal for the 3 that the Dynamo has, 5 shots off target for the 4 that Houston had, 5 shots that was blocked for the 2 that Houston had, and possession-wise, 50% possession for both of these teams. And it's kind of also unlikely the fact that, in a must-win game for Montreal, it's their back line that not only did very well in this game on the defensive front, but both of the players that they scored were from that back line and from the defense in Rudy Camacho and Kamal Miller. But nevertheless, they would definitely take it because now they're only a point below the red line. And knowing the fact that their final game is going to be against Orlando City at home, yeah, they definitely have a big shot in terms of making the playoffs, because if they can beat Orlando City, they're in the playoffs. And, you know, for Orlando City fans, if you were a little bit nervous after that 1-1 draw you had against Nashville on Sunday, yeah, now they are definitely getting even more nervous, because now they're really going to be up against it and on the ropes that, you know, even though they're above the red line right now, they do not win in this game against Montreal, and depending on how other resort goes, they could find themselves missing out on the playoffs. And for a team that, as I said, for majority of the year, that is Orlando City, that's been above the playoffs, and them dropping out of the playoffs at the very last minute, that would definitely be one of the biggest collapse we've seen this in these last couple, or we've seen in this league history. Probably right up there in terms of the FC Dallas collapse that we saw in back in 2017. But now moving on, in terms of the next match, is going to be the Red Bulls versus Atlanta. So in a game that was a playoff 6-pointer, we almost saw something that only happened twice in MLS history. And it actually happened once last year. And that, of course, is a team failed to register a single shot throughout the game. And for a majority of the game, I thought we were going to see it. I thought Atlanta was going to do what DC did last year, which is register 0 shots in the game. And it's only fitting the fact that they would do it against another New York team, and that this time it's the New York Red Bulls. But early on, there wasn't really much happening, though the Red Bulls were controlling possession early. The first shot of the game came in the 15th minute as Klimala hits it wide from close range. I thought Patrick Klimala had a good game, but you know, the only thing that was missing in this game was a goal, and he definitely had a lot of opportunity to score a goal in this one. The game then kind of became stale because, you know, Atlanta, they just decided to kind of park the bus. And I'm not quite sure, was that what Gonzalo Pineda was planning coming into this game? I mean, I know Atlanta is sitting in a very comfortable spot in the playoffs, but surely they don't just kind of just park the bus against the Red Bulls and just hope for a point. I mean, you know, a point is still not going to be enough for them to clinch the playoffs. And as it stands, I think they're still not clinched their playoffs even with this point. But yeah, they was just kind of parking the bus, and the Red Bulls, they were having a lot of trouble in terms of trying to break it down, though they had a big opportunity right on the stroke of halftime as Nealis, I thought he should have scored here, as he had a free header from close range, but unfortunately he puts that one wide, and we head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, Klimala, very unlucky here to struck the post on the volley. I mean, he hits that one very sweetly, but unfortunately it struck the post. Then Guzan absolutely robbed Patrick Klimala, who again went through on goal. Looked like he was going to beat Guzan on that one-on-one, but one thing we know about Guzan is that he's one of the best goalkeeper on those 1v1 situation, and he came off his lines and made himself as big as possible to deny Klimala there. But there was no doubt the Red Bulls was pressing for the opener. Oh, by the way, one thing that I forgot to also mention is that, well, I'm pretty sure you know by now, is that Atlanta didn't register a single shot through 45 minutes. And that would continue into the hour mark, but before that, Clark looked like he scored the opening goal for the Red Bulls, but unfortunately the goal was disallowed for offside. And then, of course, as I mentioned, 60 minutes in, Atlanta still have yet to register a single shot. And again, it's a lot to do with them just kind of parking the bus throughout this entire game, and it's just kind of a weird tactics that Pineda decided to do. And I'm pretty sure if you're also an Atlanta fan, you're probably not happy seeing this like that. This is the complete opposite of what Atlanta fans were hoping their team is, especially what they thought Gonzalo Pineda is, because Pineda tends to be a coach that loves to go for it. And in this game, inexplicably, he decided to just kind of park the bus and be very conservative with his tactics. But in the 75th minute, Fabio then poked it wide from close range before Casters Jr. blast one high from 25 yards out. Again, the Red Bulls were getting a lot of chances, but they weren't being very clinical in terms of their finish. And also, I kind of wrote, with 9 minutes to go, Atlanta still have yet to register a single shot. And at this point, I was also kind of not only watching this one and also this game and also this one at the same time, but I was really keeping an eye on the stat chart, because I thought we were going to see history again, where we're going to see the third team in MLS history to fail to register a single shot throughout 90 minutes, and only maybe become the second MLS team to fail to register a single shot, and yet they still get a draw coming out of this game. But then in the 86th minute, the first shot for Atlanta finally came, and it's actually Hernandez, the one that registered Atlanta's first shot, although that was one where he was trying to flick one in from close range, but that was blocked away. Though they did finally register their first shot on goal, which, by the way, I didn't think that they were going to register a shot on goal, but it came in the second minute of stoppage time, and George Bello, he almost had this one. I mean, he was through on goal there, tried to steal one late for Atlanta, but unfortunately Cornell was able to deny him there, and actually he hits that one straight to Cornell. But in the end, it ends in a scoreless draw in this game, as the shots in this one, 15 shots compared to just 2 shots that Atlanta has in this game. 3 shots on goal compared to 1 that Atlanta has. 5 shots off target compared to 1 that Atlanta has. And possession-wise, no shots was blocked into 7 that the Red Bulls had. And possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that Atlanta has in this game. And there's no doubt that I think Atlanta is going to be the more happier side, because let's face it, this was probably the most ugliest point that they have got this season, and I think Atlanta fans are just kind of happy the fact that they were able to walk out with a point with how poor that they played throughout the full 90 minutes. But if you're the Red Bulls, this has to be a very infuriating draw, and now they basically opened the door for Montreal to pass them, and also keeping both DC and Columbus alive in the standings. And keep in mind, the Red Bulls have to go on the road in their final game of the season against Nashville SC, while Atlanta, they of course go on the road, but they get to play probably the free victory of the match week when they have to go on the road against FC Cincinnati at TKO Stadium. So yeah, for the Red Bulls, they are going to be in for a tough one, and if they want to keep their playoff streak alive, they have to go on the road against a team that have yet to lose this season at home, and that of course is Nashville SC, and also hope that both Columbus and DC don't pick up resources, because as much as they're still in a very good position in terms of the playoffs, well, actually, I take that back, because there could be still a chance that Montreal would, or actually no, I take that back again. I was thinking of something else. Don't worry, we'll definitely talk about more of all those playoff kind of seeding, and also those playoff implication when we get to the preview that I'll do on Saturday. But I think the Red Bulls are still in a good position, but they will know that they want to kind of take care of their business, and it's not going to be easy when they go on the road against Nashville SC. But now moving on, in terms of the next match. So I actually had a big debate of what exactly I was going to be wearing for this review, because on one hand, I want to wear Austin FC, and I want to wear the Verde, and continue to kind of pay my promise that anytime when Austin FC wins, I have to wear the Verde in the review. Although technically that promise kind of has been broken a couple of times, because there's been a couple of times I think Austin have won and I did not wear the Verde. But then I just also decided that I had a big decision of the fact that the Timbers, which spoiler alert, they also got a big victory against RSL and pretty much helped out every single team that is not named RSL that isn't in the playoff hunt in the Western Conference. So I'm thinking like, well, which jersey should I wear? And in the end, you probably know which I chose. I decided to wear the Verde, and again pay back the promise that I would wear the Verde whenever Austin FC gets a win in the review. And in some way, I'm kind of glad that I decided to make that decision, because this was probably one of the best, if not the most impressive performance that Austin has this season against a team that is Sporting KC. That, yes, I know Sporting KC were very tired coming into this game, and it kind of showed throughout the full 90 minutes where they just kind of look a step slow. But still, for a team that haven't had a great success in their expansion season, they really put up a show. And this is also kind of what I said back in the review, or back in the Moving Forward series about Austin, of how I think if there's any team that's going to be eliminated this season and heading into next year, I think Austin is in the best shape, because they have a lot of promising players, especially on that attack. And boy, oh boy, that attack really showed up in this game. And in fact, it showed up just 33 seconds in, as Jerussi would actually score the fastest goal in Austin FC franchise history, as he scored from Shroud and Fagundes to give Austin a 1-0 lead. You know, Jerussi, as I mentioned before, he is definitely going to be a guy that I can definitely see next season. He could be a 10-plus goal scored, and also a guy that could be a playmaker too. But yeah, that gave Austin a 1-0 lead in this one. It was almost 2-0 if it wasn't for the post denying Strel there, although Strel did have a big moment later in this game that we'll talk about. But there was no doubt that Austin's definitely started out the stronger side, and you know, SKC again, they just come out flat in this game and just look very exhausted with the way that, you know, this is the 4th game in 11 days for them, and you know, knowing the fact that they have to travel on the road for the last 2 games in 3 days, you can definitely see they were very exhausted. But in the 22nd minute, Austin would make it 2-0 as Cascante would score from Komenich to make it 2-0 in favor of Austin. I believe this is either the first goal that Cascante has scored for Austin or his second. Actually, I think it's first, because you know, I remember he scored a goal that was disallowed for offside earlier this season. But yeah, he gets on the score sheet here to make it 2-0 in favor of Austin. Though in the 31st minute, Showy with Sporting KC first real chance, but he hits that one on the side netting before Russell tags a volley that just goes high off the mark. And Sporting KC started to finally woke up and tried to press to get one back. Stuver then had to deny Russell from close range in the 39th minute, but then in the 43rd minute, Jerussi rifled a volley that just that somehow was hang on by Melia. I mean, he basically tattooed that volley, and the fact that Melia was able to hang on to that one was kind of a bit of a miracle. But that being said, in the 2nd minute of stoppage time, Melia absolutely robbed Fagundes there, though the flag did went up, so even if Fagundes scored that one, it wouldn't have counted. But you could also say that maybe Fagundes should have scored that one, and he's kind of thankful the flag kind of went up, because he was just left all alone in the 6-yard box. And you know, Melia did make a great save there, but kind of looked more like Fagundes just hits one straight toward him. And you know, Fagundes, I thought he also had a good game, though. This one, though, he's definitely going to be thinking about how he wasn't able to score a goal, because he also had a massive opportunity late in this game to get on the score sheet. But we do head to halftime with Austin leading 2-0 in this game. Though in the second half, you can definitely sense that Sporting KC were trying to get one back. And again, whatever Peter Vermees says at halftime definitely fired up the team, because they were in control early in this game and were trying to make this game interesting. Ile then blazed one into the stands in the 57th minute, but then in the 60th minute, against the run of play, Jarrett Strel scored his first career MLS goal from Fagundes to make it 3-0 in favor of Austin. I actually didn't believe first when Adrian Healy mentioned the fact that that was his first career MLS goal, because I swear Jarrett Strel had at least scored one goal for the New York Red Bulls before he come to Austin. But Healy is right. He never scored a goal for the Red Bulls, and what a big moment that is for Jarrett Strel, who again, another player that had a good game in this one and probably would deserve the Man of the Match award with the way that he got on the score sheet and also on the assist chart in this one. But yeah, that made it 3-0 in this game. Q2 Stadium was no doubt in party mode, though it kind of got a little bit quiet in the 65th minute, because Sporting KC would get one back, and it's Johnny Russell who, you know, unfortunately his goal streak did came to an end against Minnesota, as he was able to score a goal, but at least his goal and assist streak or at least one goals or assist streak is not over yet, because he scored here from Russell and Martins, and he of course got an assist against Minnesota. So this is now 10 straight games that he have at least a goal and an assist, and that gives Sporting KC a little bit hope to come back from this game. But as the time winds down, as Sporting KC were looking to try to get a goal back, Austin was trying to just kind of bunker and trying to hold on to this 3-1 lead. And in some way, they also tried to open up Sporting KC by going on the counterattack, and they had an opportunity to do so in the 88th minute when they go on a lightning counterattack, and Fagundes had a chance to pretty much put the cherry on the top for Austin in their final home game, but he missed an absolutely sitter from 6 yards out. And in the end, Austin then were only able to win 3-1 in this game. But, you know, I don't think they would care. They still get all 3 points and spoil Sporting KC chance to retake first position in the Western Conference, and definitely help Seattle and Colorado in terms of their chances of finish top spot in the West. But the shots in this one, dead even at 13 shots for both of these teams. 5 shots on goal for the 4 that Sporting KC had. 3 shots off target for the 6 that Sporting KC had. 5 shots that was blocked for the 3 that Sporting KC had. And possession-wise, 39% possession compared to 61% possession that Sporting KC had. And like I said, I'm very excited to see what this Austin team is going to do next season, because you can definitely see they have the pieces to be decent. And I really think that, you know, if you don't look at how the first half of the season has went, the second half of the season for Austin, they look really good. I mean, you know, when you look at the amount of points that they picked up in the second half of the season, especially in the back end, this team looked like a playoff team. And unfortunately, you know, because of the fact that they dig themselves in such a big hole, especially in the middle part of the season when they had that incredible long winless run and had problem in terms of scoring. That's why they weren't able to, of course, came anywhere close to challenge for the playoffs. But, you know, if they can keep this up with the way that they have been in these last couple of games, which, again, this really looked like a team that could definitely make some noise heading into next season. This could potentially be the case. But for Sporting KC, you know, there's no doubt that, like I said, this team looked absolutely gas coming into this one, and it was kind of expected. I mean, when you're playing your 4th game in 11 days and your 2nd game in 3 days on the road, it is going to be expected that this team was not going to perform at the rate that they hope. But now, heading into the final day of the season, if they want that chances of finishing in the top spot, they would need to not only win against RSL, who is a team that is also fighting for their playoff life, but also are going to have to rely on Seattle, hopefully draw points so that they can, of course, retake that top spot. And also the same goes with, well, actually, no, it doesn't go the same with the Colorado Rapids, because I think they still have that tiebreaker over the Rapids despite this loss. But now moving on in terms of the next match, and speaking of RSL, yeah, RSL is definitely collapsing in these last couple of games, because in a game where it was a kind of a must-win for them and really a game in hand for them to get themselves back into a good position in the playoffs, they lay an egg in this one against the Timbers. And in some way, I actually got the scoreline wrong. It actually wasn't 3-0 in this one. It was 3-1 that the Timbers won, because RSL did get a late goal in this one. But either way, they kind of dropped an egg in this one, and in some way, they kind of played right in the hands of the Portland Timbers with some of the tactics that Pablo Mastroeni was trying to use in this one against the Timbers. But in the first half, there was a great tribute to Kyle Beckerman during pregame. Apparently, this was the game where RSL decided to pay the tribute to their legend Kyle Beckerman, who I would always regard him as one, if not the one of the best player ever play in MLS, and probably the most underrated player to ever play in MLS with the amount of times that he has spent in MLS, and always will have that record for the most ever appearance by an outfield player in MLS history. But in the 3rd minute, Rusnak did puts it wide from long range, as I thought RSL definitely showed that urgency early that they need to get all 3 points, and were on the front foot in this one. They also showed that Savarese was on his phones while he was sitting in the stands and serving his yellow card accumulation. And I think John Champion even kind of points out that, yeah, you are not allowed to do that, and that I guess Savarese was trying to go full Miguel Herrera there, trying to communicate with his team while he's on his phone. But I think maybe Savarese kind of got the message that, yeah, he's on camera, because as soon as they showed him, he immediately put away his phone and just kind of covered his mouth, almost like saying, whoops, I probably shouldn't have done that, because now MLS is going to be investigating me and probably fine me because of doing that. But, you know, all kidding aside, I don't think that was what he was doing. I'm pretty sure he was just maybe texting to his wife, or texting to someone that he might need some refreshment, or maybe some popcorn to watch this game, because he definitely saw his team eventually improve after kind of were a little under siege in the first 15 minutes. Because in the 14th minute, after Krylak had a shot that was clear off the line, in the 17th minute, the Timbers scored the opening goal, and it's Sebastian Blanco, who time after time he has come big for this Timbers team this season. He came big here again as he scored from Paredes and Jimmy Chara to make it 1-0 in favor of the Timbers, and it was really just completely against the run and play. Like, that was the first chance that the Portland Timbers has in this game, and they score, and that's kind of the reality of the sports where, you know, RSL found the hard way where you don't take your opportunity against a superior team, you are definitely gonna be punished. Though on the other end, in the 18th minute, Luis did blaze a long-range shot into the stands before just 2 minutes later, Weinreken hits one that goes wide from close range, and then the post denied Niezgoda, who had a free header in the 21st minute. He definitely would think about that a little bit later tonight of how he wasn't able to score after having just such a big opportunity to do so from a free header from 3 yards out. Before Clark had to deny Rubin after he goes for on goal, and then the post came to the rescue for the Timbers in this one as the post denied Glad and RSL a chance to get the equalizer, and this is when I kind of wrote, yep, MLS after dark vibe is truly a vibe. Almost wrote MLS is back vibe is. I mean, we've seen some crazy game in the MLS is back tournament, but this was just the case that MLS after dark vibe is truly alive because, you know, knowing this game kicking off very late in the East Coast and it was a late start in this one in RSL, you just kind of sense that there's going to be some crazy things that's happened, and we definitely saw it here. And it would kind of continue because in the 30th minute, Rusnak puts it high from 24 yards out on the free kick. The shots were 11-5 through 30 minutes in favor of RSL. There was 16 shots throughout the first 30 minutes of this game. Ochoa then denied Zuparic in the 35th minute before on the other end, Jimmy Chara would struck the post on the free kick. But then 1 minute later, the Timbers would make it 2-0 as Justin Glad unfortunately scored an own goal there, but this was all the work of Sebastian Blanco making a great solo run and putting a dangerous ball into the box that unfortunately Glad puts it into his own net. And I kind of also wrote that RSL was just playing right into the Timbers trap. Like, one thing you do not want to do when you're facing against the Portland Timbers is to play a high line and try to push too many men forward, because you know that the Timbers are going to capitalize on that. And, you know, again, this game, RSL, they just put so many men forward where, you know, it was great that they put a lot of men forward to try to score a goal, but they're almost asking for the Timbers to try to counter, and you can maybe even in some ways say that they learned nothing from that 6-1 demolition that they had, where they were also trying to go for it, and every time the Timbers go on the counter attack, the Timbers basically was capitalized. Though I will say that in this game, the Timbers wasn't as lethal on the counter as they were in that 6-1 resort. They were still really, really deadly in this game, and once again catching RSL committing too many men for multiple time in this one. But in the 40th minute, Luis then had one wide from close range in the 40th minute before it was 3-0 in favor of the Timbers, as Sebastian Blanco, again on the score sheet here from Niezgoda, to make it 3-1 in favor of the Portland Timbers. And I also kind of wrote, this game looked like it was going to be a repeat of the 6-1 result because of how deadly the Timbers were on the counter attack and how just reckless that RSL was just putting way too many men forward. It looked like this was going to get really ugly once again. But we do head into the second half, and in the second half, things did kind of eventually calm down a little bit, though Krylek had a chance in the 49th minute, and he was kind of trying to do a Rando Leao there, though this was kind of a deflection shot that just goes wide off the left side of the post. I even wrote that, as I said, the second half, or the start of the second half, was a little bit less frantic than what we saw in the first, because in the first it was just crazy with how both teams was going end to end at each other. But in the 59th minute, Rusnak did hit one straight to Ochoa before Zubaric had a header that goes wide, and then for the next 20 minutes, really nothing kind of happened. It felt like both of these teams was kind of settled. The fact that, yeah, this is pretty much going to be the scoreline. There was a half-hearted shout for a PK from the dwindling RSL crowd. Again, knowing the fact that this was a late kickoff, you can definitely see that a lot of those RSL faithful was making their way toward the exit very early in this, especially with the way that the game was kind of out of hand. Though they were awarded a penalty in the 86th minute after Bravo basically handball into the box, which Rusnak was able to put away the penalty, but that was really just a mere consolation, because in the end, the Timbers get a massive 3-1 win against RSL to now clinch at least one home game at Providence Park. But in some way, they kind of really help every single team that is in the playoff hunt in the Western Conference, because, you know, with this win and RSL dropping points, heading into the decision day, fifth through ninth place in the West is only going to be separated by 3 points. And boy, oh boy, I can't wait to see how things are going to turn out in terms of that, and that there's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching, and also a lot of teams that are going to try their best to take care of their business, because I can imagine all these teams that is in that playoff bowl between 5th through 9th, and how much they're going to have to go through. And especially the fact that I'm also a fan of one of those teams that is in that 5th through 9th spot. Yeah, I'm pretty much going to maybe have a mini heart attack when I have to deal with decision day, and especially I'm going to have to deal with it when I do go to that game between the Quakes versus FC Dallas, even though that is probably one of the most, if not the most meaningless game on decision day, with both teams being eliminated. But I'll talk about later why that game still maybe had some significance, and there could be some emotional moment in that game too when I do the preview on Saturday. But until then, no, yeah, that's the standings is pretty much set in terms of heading into decision day, and it's gonna be very interesting to see how things are going to look. I mean, this is, for these next couple of days, it's almost like the calm before the storm before on Sunday. I guarantee there's going to be some chaos, and there's going to definitely be a lot of teams that either is going to be scoreboard watching, or they're just going to make sure they give their best. And even some teams that, though they might be eliminated from playoff contention, they're also maybe even going to try to play into the factor too, because some of those teams might be even try to spoil some of their opposition chance of either making the playoffs or potentially playoff seedings or home field advantage. But yeah, it's going to be set up to be one of the, if not the best decision day with how things are standing in the standings. And until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this video and also these 4 games that has happened in terms of the Wednesday night action. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.